Leeds United are currently in the midst of what some might call a little bit of an injury crisis, with three undoubted first team starting players being either out or potentially out for the match against Tottenham Hotspur on Monday night, which is going to be a fairly important match for the relegation battle. Not for us, because I think we're completely safe anyway, but for Spurs, so I kind of very much want us to win that game. But how are we going to deal with that injury set of concerns, and ultimately, are we going to be a good enough side to beat Tottenham Hotspur? I think so, and I think so by taking the steps that look like we might be heading in the direction of. And I'll run through all of that in this video, but before I do, like and subscribe and all that stuff. About half of you aren't subscribed and probably don't realise it because my videos keep popping up because of the algorithm. See if it says subscribe down there. If you're not yet, just boop that button. It really genuinely helps the channel out a little bit. It helps to push it out a little bit more. Thank you. Anyway, so the list of potential injury outages includes Gabby Goodmanson, who we knew wasn't going to be available. He got injured in the match against Chelsea in the FA Cup. A little bit of a hamstring issue, which he wasn't able to come off because we'd used all the substitutions by that point, which, let's be honest, keeping him on the pitch probably didn't help us, but at the end of the day, it's fine. It's a little bit early for him. He might be back for the next match or two. We'll find out. Noah Okafor has also injured himself. He's got an issue on both of his calves. Apparently he had a contusion on one of them, and then that got a little bit better, and then he pulled the other one, which is never the best place to be, but it's fine. He'll definitely miss the Spurs match, missing the Brighton match, but might be back in time for West Ham, which, again, one of those matches where we will effectively decide the relegation battle. I'd love to see it. I'm very interested to see what direction that one goes in. So, with those being the players that are unavailable, in addition to Pascal Struijk, who is a little bit of a doubt on, I believe it was Friday that the press conference was. He hadn't trained with the team, he was doing individual training, was a little bit of a doubt. Probably available for the match on Monday, but there is potential that he wasn't. Leeds have a little bit of work to do to sort of adapt things and make things better and ultimately get themselves into a position where the side is strong enough to beat Tottenham Hotspur. Let's be clear though, a lot of teams beat Tottenham Hotspur at their place. I've seen a lot of Spurs fans be like, oh, it's because we're a really passionate crowd and the team feel it when being a little bit mean to them, and that just shows that we care. And it's like, well, no, it's... Come on. Yes, you've got a nice, fancy, expensive stadium. You're losing because you're bad. That's the way that this works. And I think we can continue to prove that they are bad by following a couple of little steps. Now, personally, if Pascal Struijk is fit, and this is where a big if comes in, I expect us to play in a little bit of a 3-4-2-1. A little bit of that expectation has come from the fact that Willy Gnonto has been featured in club social media posts. That tends to happen to players that are about to start a game of football, rather than players that are a little bit loosey-goosey in the rotation but not starting. This would also make sense because if Noah Okafor isn't available to start, you're maybe going to start a left winger in their place. Now, initially you might think, well, the player that we would get to do that job is Lucas Mecha, which, okay, sure. In my opinion, that looks a little bit more like a 3-4-1-2 with Aronson behind two centre forwards, but this way it looks a little bit more Gnonto and Aronson playing behind the number 9 of Calvert-Lewin. In my opinion, that would look like Carl Darlow in goal, as you'd expect. He's been making some absolute wonder saves recently, with Justin at left wing back because that's the only real option there at the moment. Struijk, Beale, Rodon as centre backs because they are a very, very solid set of centre backs. Jayden Bogle playing his weird right back / winger role, which I absolutely love to see him do. A midfield of Ampadu, Stack and Tanaka because that did incredible work in the match against Burnley with Gnonto and DCL. I've forgotten to add Brendan Aronson. That's because I forgot something. There's something that I specifically forgot was it would be Tanaka playing in that sort of pair alongside Willy Gnonto. The Aronson thing was linked to something that I was meant to say in a minute's time because I got some notes in an order, but I changed my order for this one, which is confusing to me. But the prospective Pascal Struijk injury does potentially ruin what we're looking to do, because the way that we fix Pascal Struijk being out most of the time is Biol goes to left centre back, you get someone else comes across, and all that kind of works out. Issue is we can't do that this time. The only potential swap that we've got is Sebastian Bornau comes in, and as we've seen a hell of a lot of the time, Daniel Farke doesn't seem to be particularly fond of Sebastian Bornau. And in addition to not being fond of Sebastian Bornau, you also get the feeling that he doesn't hugely want to be here with the amount of agent talk that's hovered around the fact that Bornau might be leaving. There's been a lot of links to FC Cologne recently. So it might be a case of, well, you don't necessarily want to just give him charity minutes when you can do something a little bit different. And we know that every once in a while Daniel Farke will change the system just to see how it works. And we know that going into next season, we're hopefully not going to be the side that is playing the more passive defensive stuff, primarily because we will have been here another season. There will be Coventry that have come up, there'll be Ipswich that have come up with weaker squads than us, probably, and then one of Southampton who looked piss weak against Middlesbrough, Hull, and whoever Hull played against in their semi-final. Who was that? Borough? Southampton? Hull? I don't know. Millwall, that's the one. Any of those teams that come up are going to have a relatively dire squad, which means that we are ideally going to be playing more front foot style, more trying to climb up the table, make sure we are firmly in the midfield pack, which we kind of are this season, but we've had to climb our way up to it, as opposed to just being there for the entire season. Which means that I can maybe see us trying out a back four. In that case, you'd have one simple change of Strauch would drop out, but Aronson would come in. So it's more of a Justin Beale, Rodon, Bogle, Stack, Ampadu, Tanaka as the sort of 10, but more box-to-box progressy stuff. Aronson and Nonto either side, but both playing sort of central, so the fullbacks are able to just bomb on. Then with DCL up top. We know that we like to experiment with more attacking things from time to time. We know that the system that we had in the Championship, Daniel Farke is naturally a little bit comfortable with, and we know that we're going to be trying a little bit more possession-y next season rather than surviving games, which is fine, but it's not really what you want to do for the long term. No manager's ideology is realistically, I want to run a team that just sort of sits in and waits and hopes that we don't concede a goal. Unless you're Sean Dyche, but no one wants to be Sean Dyche, you know. That, I think, could be an effective way of going about it if Strauch isn't available. If Strauch is, I can just see us sticking with it as is. Honestly, I would like this team to go unbeaten to the end of the season. I would like it to go on record on my channel that when Jer did a video a couple of weeks back, it was, I think, before the Scum game, it was in the last international break, asking for everyone's predictions in terms of how many points we get and what the results are. I think I managed to say that Leeds will go unbeaten to the end of the season, and I think I said it would be on 46 points. And I was the most optimistic of us. So if we're able to outdo my most optimistic projection, very happy with this season. So I hope we just keep on pushing. Anyway, that's my rough estimate of what we're going to be doing to deal with the injuries. I've called it an injury crisis because it is a bit. You're missing 3 starting players. There's no way that's not a crisis. But yeah, let me know if you agree in the comments down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe as well. That'd be lovely too. And yeah, hope you enjoyed. And I will see you all later. Toodaloo.